Hello and welcome to Talkin' Baseball. Let's start discussing labor negotiations because it's a lockout. Da-da-da-dum. Hello and welcome to Talkin' Baseball. My name is Jimmy. Sitting next to me is Jake. We got Trevor in California and producer BBD behind the dish. It's brought to you by DraftKings. And shout out to Mikey Rotano who made our music, our intro, our outro, our interlude music. Every now and then I just got to remember, good job. It's awesome. Love bobbing my head to it. Trev is back from his weekend. He looks like he's frozen or he's incredibly still, so I'm going to throw it to Jake first in hopes that... Okay, I think Trev's frozen. Jake, how you doing?
Yes, Daddy Trev, frozen right off the rip. Tough. Came back for the episode from a trip to Vegas, baby. Vegas, and he's going to tell all at the end of this episode, so tune in. James, BBD, everyone in the chat, everyone else, let's go. We are in the labor stuff. Our guy, Kenny Rose, K Rose, he just dropped a big article today talking about some of the issues. And we needed Daddy Trev because he's our player. He's our JOMBOY Media player rep. As of right now.
Yes.
I'm getting a FaceTime from him, which feels tough and not like a solution
Throw it to me.
That's ever worked. So that's where I'm at. I'm having a little coffee.
Nice.
And that's where I'm at. Jim,
great.
What about you?
I'm doing well, doing swell. Jake beat me in the Bino tournament in the championship game. I was happy to get to the championship. I'm happy for Jake that he got there. Trevor is FaceTiming Jake looking for a solution. Yeah, Kenny, our friend at The Athletic, Kenny Rosenthal, put out an article kind of sectioning off items to be debated and negotiated in the CBA, and then he kind of had some proposals that he thinks might work. And I love this stuff, and I love running it by Trev and getting his opinion. So that's kind of the conversation we're going to have today, unless we need to rearrange the order as we wait for Trev. What was his FaceTime update? Back to you, Jake.
He said his internet just went out, which is basically as tough as an answer you could get. He is going to look into some solutions, St. Lucian's. Otherwise, maybe we can have him call in. I mean, we do have a picture of him on the screen right now. So, BBD, if you can maybe coordinate with him a little bit.
I'll tell you one thing.
He has a new link whenever
He has a new link. If the internet works, I'll send him another.
One thing I know for sure, Trevor Plouffe was not Roman ready to do this podcast. Almost as limp as you could possibly come in to a show. And once he gets his internet sorted out, he should definitely go to getroman.com/talkin today. Trev, once your internet's back, getroman.com/talkin and talk to someone about your problems. 52% of men between the ages 40 and 70 will experience some form of ED, and Trev is the closest member of this podcast to the age 40. So odds are against him. Not great at all, but it's fine. It happens to more than half of the people. And if Trevor wants to reconnect with his partner and rediscover the joy of sex, all he has to do is go to getroman.com/talkin.
And maybe that's how we need to address it. Like, Trevor's pretty happy with his boner. He's got his kids. He's got his wife. But, he very much enjoys having a stiffy.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's a day when he can't, which, like you mentioned, rapidly approaching.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's rapidly approaching that big 40 number that, he would miss that.
Yeah.
He would miss getting a big, fat, throbbing. So,
anyway, let's talk about some of the contract stuff, I guess. We were going to do this at the tail end of the show. We'll wait to see if Trev joins.
Yeah, maybe we'll check some boxes as we go. As you guys know, we got caught up in the pace of it all as all the news started flying in. Remember? I mean, what was that? A little over a week ago. Baseball news was flying in. There were signings and trades. basically every day, every hour, every minute.
Every day?
That some of it got passed behind. I know we got yelled at, and these are two of the bigger fan bases. We got yelled at by our Rays and Twins fans.
Oh, yeah.
Because Wander Franco.
Listen, you don't want those two fan bases coming at you.
Oh, my God. My mentions have been a wreck.
One, you got, a lot of them, decent amount of them, so nice. Just killing you, so passive-aggressive. The other, you have a small amount, so angsty.
Hornets.
Just
hornets.
Rays are like a batch of hornets.
Yeah.
And then the Twins are like, your neighbor who's like nosy and kind of passive. I have a neighbor that's very passive-aggressively nosy with me. And it's like, come on.
Can I say something nice about Rays fans?
Like she came in and gave me like a gift for our baby, which was very nice. And she said, and you got some packages out here. I know it's hard to get your packages in the house on time because when you come in and out of your garage.
I don't even get it.
I was like, what? She also came and gave me a garbage to show me how to recycle properly.
I mean, I see that one. I don't even see the other one.
I think she was saying stop leaving your packages out on your front door for so long. And how she know we go in and out the garage? She's spying on us.
I mean, she's spying on you. I see that part of it. But, yeah, I mean, that's...
Nosy.
A little nosy.
Yeah.
A little nosy. Rays fans, which I know, again, most people listening to this. I'll say this. I think Rays fans, Trevor Plouffe is back.
Why were you guys talking about my boners? I heard that.
No, dude.
Yeah.
You misheard that.
Yeah.
I didn't say
no.
I just said you limped into this episode, and you should probably go to GetRoman.com/Talkin to talk about it.
My boners are fine. I get what you're saying, though. When I do turn 40, what if my boners go away?
You're basically there, too.
I'm basically there.
Let's skip the Rays talk.
If your penis stopped working, you would want it to work.
Let's skip the Rays talk. It's back on hold. Back on the table.
Rays fans, I get why you're Hornets. I would be too.
Oh, yeah, me too.
So, like, it's not a bad thing.
What the fuck? Someone just opened my door. I think a ghost did. A ghost is also in...
Trevor Plouffe, Internet and Ghosts.
Ghost or a gopher. Trev, can we go over some of this Labor Pod stuff?
So sorry,
Yes,
Twins
please.
fans.
Sorry, Twins fans.
and Rays fans.
Back on the shelf.
We'll get
They're both fine people.
the Adam Frazier trade, too, at the end of next episode sometime.
Rosenthal put out this article. There's some things that were interesting. We have it kind of broken down here. There's a high concept that I think is interesting that I talked to Jake about afterwards. I don't know if that should be a start or not a start, but I am going to start there. Trev, some of Rosenthal's article is talking about how, how they always try to divide the players and divide and conquer the ranks of the players. In any negotiation, you want the other side to be split. Kind of alluding to the fact that the owners should really be split here. A lot of what the union is advocating for would help out the teams that spend their money on the product. And instead, we're incentivizing the teams who don't spend currently. Like you're getting rewarded for not spending, and there's no punishment for not spending. So that concept of hopefully like the owners group can be a little divided, and the guys that own teams and want to win and like want to spend on their business to do better, like should be allowed to. So I'm interested there because one thing he talked about was how the Marlins, the Rays, and the Orioles, there's currently a grievance filed by the union saying that they tanked. They didn't meet the CBA that they had to try and better their team before the 18 season and 19 season. And part of it is they're getting money from all the other teams. If they go over the tax, they're getting money there. There's a lot of revenue sharing ways. So in theory, a lot of the teams that are spending a bunch are giving money to those lower teams, and they're not using it to better their team. They're just pocketing it. So Rosenthal's saying he thinks secretly the big spending teams are hoping that grievance might be won by the union, because if the Yankees and Dodgers are giving the Tigers or the Pirates and the Orioles money and they're just pocketing it and not putting it back into their team, like, then what's the point? And that's the first time I really had that laid out for me that way, which I I kind of opened my eyes to, and let's split them up.
Yeah, I mean that what he's talking about there is the revenue sharing, and it's vague language essentially. You're supposed to be using that money to better your team. Now, bettering your team, you can say, doesn't mean spending money. You could be bettering your team just with any different players or whatever it can be. I mean, I think a lot of the things we'll be talking about as we turn back into a labor pod is the vague language or the gray areas that each side tries to take advantage of. The owners have done an excellent job of doing that. You do negotiate these things in good faith, so it's not how you're supposed to really approach an agreement. But that's kind of what it's turned into, and that's why we're at with the two sides. It's very contentious between them. But the whole revenue sharing thing, I think that is Manfred's been basically saying that's a non-starter. And for that reason, I think he thinks if there is a difference in revenue sharing, that it puts those smaller market teams at a bigger disadvantage, and that's what they don't want. Essentially, that's what they're saying.
Yeah.
Spend that money. Spend that money,
Yeah.
baby. Spend it on players. That's when you talk about the gray area. And Trev, the line I really liked from you, and this isn't to get some more Vegas stories out of you, but the line you said the other day was that the owners, however the CBA is drawn up and done up, the owners then are figuring out how to manipulate. From the player side, you go out and you play baseball, and there's a couple things like, hey, if I've got another team option or something, but however the CBA gets drawn up, the owners then regroup and say, okay, so what's our best way to attack this, and this? And this is a clear one of those sections where, as Jimmy was alluding to and as was Kenny, and our own David Cohn, Towing the Slab podcast, go listen to it. By the way, Tom Glavine and David Cohn talking shop. Not only are they talking pitching, they were also CBA vice presidents or whatever the term was, so they were in it in 94, 95, so they have some awesome stuff on that. But, if you can, we always say that they try to kind of pit the players against each other, whether it's pitchers and hitters, whether it's big money, little money, and the players need to be united. Basically, they're saying you can kind of do that with the owners. You have an upper class and a lower class, and if you can get them focused on each other, it's basic war stuff. What was that war where they started and you march backwards? McGillicuddy and the Huns.
Yes, McGillicuddy and Huns.
Wow, good for you.
Great job, Trev. I mean, Jake. Great job by you, Trev, as well. Yeah, so that's Kenny's proposal here is just the revenue money you get has to go back into payroll of players. And it's it seems fair to me.
Yeah. Or at least some of it. And I think that's what they do in the NBA. And the chat can tell me if I'm wrong. I believe they have to spend a certain amount of money each offseason. And I don't know if that comes from revenue sharing or where that comes. I don't think they have a salary floor.
Yeah, that's why I said it last episode after you left. That's why Roberto Perez got signed by the Pirates and Lyles got signed by the Orioles.
NBA kind of does have a floor, if I'm remembering correctly, and BBD may be the expert on this, but they have a floor, but if you don't hit it, you still have to pay that money. So there's actually NBA teams that at the end of the year, they'll have $5 million below the floor, but that just gets distributed to the rest of the players on the team. So
interesting.
So very interesting. Tidbit. So that is one of Rosenthal's proposals here, because the owners back before the 2021 season proposed a floor of $100 million, but with it they wanted the ceiling to be $180, which is nuts. The ceiling right now is $210, and it has not increased. Basically, the union feels like they've lost out on 4 seasons, 4 to 6 seasons of the luxury tax quote unquote ceiling increasing, and they wanted to go higher. So for them to go lower, it was kind of a nonsense offer by MLB, because not only does the union want the luxury tax threshold to be higher, they want to make up for lost time. So they don't want it to go from 210 to 220 next year. They're trying to get it to 280 immediately or somewhere up high, and then go up 5% every year. What MLB has said is, no, we'll go up to like there's a number, we'll go up to like 215 next year, something around there, and then it will go up 1% each year. That's what MLB, as far as what I read, countered. So, but Kenny is saying, if you do a floor, tax the guys who don't do it, like the NBA does apparently. So if the Pirates don't reach the 100 million, then the difference or some tax goes to the rest of the team.
Well, and it would be more interesting for baseball, because in basketball, the end of the bench just doesn't get used. I mean, if you're a sports fan and you want to laugh, go look at Udonis Haslem's player page. He's been on the Heat like forever, and he hasn't played at all the last 5 years, but he's just on the team. It's like hysterical that he's still a player in the NBA. But in baseball, now that every roster spot has so much value, if you did implement something of that nature, you'd like to think teams, instead of just giving the players an extra $5 million, go get yourself a couple guys. And then if you want to flip them, or, you have to figure out some of the little rules and intricacies around it. But yeah, I like that.
The floor is out of the question for the players union. Like, that'll never happen, because they fundamentally believe that the floor will lead to a cap.
But
it makes sense.
And you think a cap is out of the question? Like, even if it's like,
well, yeah, that's strike stuff.
Players
that is
will just never do it.
It's a line in the sand. Yeah.
Even if it made a ton of sense for them, they just never do it.
Yeah,
that's their.
Well, that's.
I do think there's
right.
I do think there's a way where a floor and a ceiling would work. It would just have to be really high. It would be like, say like next year's 300 million, and then it increases by 5% every year. I know why you're saying the players never say yes to it, just because of leverage standpoint. But I think there is a middle ground where it does make sense. And every other league has it, which I know is the owners, not every other league, but a lot of leagues have it. And the owners look at that and they say, like, well, you guys are already getting more than other professional athletes, so we're going to take, because other places have ceilings.
It won't fly. And to that point, the owners, Rob Manfred said that we already have an agreement that any other organization would love to have, any other players union would love to have. But, that's not true. Like, the amount of time that baseball players are controlled, which is basically probably the biggest issue that the union is facing right now and wants to fix. The amount of time that players are controlled is crazy. And it's not like that in any other sport. So that's just false.
I guess the thing that does get my brain spinning, and Trev, I don't want this to seem as an attack at all, because, again, I listened to Coney and Glavin the other day, and they were in the room doing all of that. I mean, there is such a pride from the players' side on the no salary cap. I mean, you hear it instantly from everyone that is there nothing like is there, because imagine how many MLB teams have a salary, of, if they made a salary floor of $100 million and the salary cap of $300 million. I mean, wouldn't the gain there for the players be massive, and it just becomes a pride thing, or what? I guess, what am I missing or not interpreting?
Yeah, I don't get.
You want a free market. You want a free market, and if you start implementing floors and caps, there's going to be more teams headed towards that floor, especially, if we expand playoffs and stuff like that. You're not, just because you're raising the cap to X amount doesn't mean anything. Like, it doesn't mean any. That doesn't mean teams are going to spend closer to that.
Can I?
And I mean, go ahead.
On this, I want to be delicate because I like the players. And I know they're like, no cap. And Trev, you're always reminding us, like, it's a luxury tax. It's not a cap. 25 teams look at it as a cap.
It's a cap.
Like, so the players are being like, there's no cap. Meanwhile, it's almost like they have a hood over their eyes or whatever the saying is, because there's a cap. Like, you're just kind of kidding yourself in a way, screaming, we'll never have a cap, but for 26 teams, there's been a salary cap in the MLB, because that is how they view it. So to me, it's like, there's a cap. Like, 4 teams don't consider it a cap. and you guys just kind of saying, the players kind of saying, it's not a cap, and we'll never sign a cap when there kind of is one. It's like weird where I think that if you could go way higher and actually have one, you would be way better, but there's a dignity in not having it. But like, from a majority of the teams, there's a cap.
It's not a cap. It's a soft cap that's created by the owners. But I think what's one of the big points that the Players Association will be going after is trying to decrease the penalties, raise that luxury tax threshold. It's a competitive balance tax, right? Like that's the correct term.
It was supposed to.
It hasn't been that way. Yeah, they've treated it. They've essentially taken the wording and said, "Oh, let's just treat this like a cap. The penalties are too harsh. Let's just say that. Tell our fans that." So I think Ken in his article, and this is what a lot of people think should happen anyway. There should be less. It should be raised. The competitive balance tax should be raised high, then continue incrementally increase every year, and the penalties for going over it should be, negligible. Like why? Like there shouldn't be that way. Right. And is that going to happen? No, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So they want that. I don't think it's going to happen though. They love what they've done with that, and that's going to be a hard sell to get them off of it.
Yeah.
And I guess the other thing that is exciting, NBA, you get caught up in max contracts. I guess NFL doesn't have limits on the contracts. The bar just kind of gets raised every year. The next quarterback that's about to get paid and everything like that. Baseball does let you daydream. Like, say Ohtani does it for a couple years, pitching and hitting. Like, when you say free market, and I think a healthy Shohei Ohtani, like the number that guy can command can be special and can make baseball different. So I guess we already are, but root for Shohei to just break the world.
Number one hot boy.
Ooh. You talked about contract length and how long players are under control, Trev, which is great. Pivot to the next thought process that Rosenthal has here, and an interesting proposal and somewhat counter proposal by MLB that it supposedly has happened behind the scenes. And this interesting tidbit's brought to you by Magic Spoon cereal, which is an interesting cereal because it's guilt-free cereal for adults. And I ate 2 bowls of it last night. I get my blueberry, my fruity, and my frosted, and I mix it all into one giant cereal container. So when I pour it in, it's a delicious balance. It's in my 4-pack that I'm subscribed to. I have a Magic Spoon. They do sell a Magic Spoon. It looks like something off of Magic School Bus. I have that as well, and I'm just an adult that eats just great cereal because it's got 0 grams of sugar, 13 to 14 grams of protein, only 4 net grams of carbs, 140 calories a serving. It's keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, low-carb. Build your own box. Available flavors: cocoa, fruity, frosted, peanut butter, blueberry, cinnamon, cookies and cream, maple, waffle. Go to magicspoon.com/baseball to grab a custom bundle of cereal and try it today. And be sure to use our promo code baseball at checkout to save $5 off your order. It's also backed with a 100% happiness guarantee. You don't like it for any reason, they'll refund it. Magicspoon.com/baseball. Use promo code baseball. All right, so the fun tidbit is Rosenthal is saying, make it so right now they have control for 6 years, right? 6 years. Three contract, 3 arbitration. What if you can
6 year service time?
Service time, yeah. 5 years. If after 5 years you're 30 or older, that is a proposal here that Rosenthal says that the union kind of said like you can't have service time be counted by just days on a roster because we're having just so much manipulation of keeping guys in the minor leagues when they're ready or bringing them up for one game and then down. Like Luis Heel, I think, has made 4 or 5 major league starts, and I think he only has 3 days of service time. 2 because of COVID, and then the others because they brought him up, he pitched, they sent him down. So it's 1 day. And then, if he was to stay on the team until his next start, he would get the full week. But he's useless to them, so they just send him down, and then that slows him down.
I think if I'm reading the MLB, the baseball reference service time counter right, he has 15 days of service time. Same overall point. But
because at the end he was on there for about.
I think he stayed on, and if you're like sent down and called up within 10 days,
okay,
I think you get the service time for those 10 days.
So
So if that happened once.
the point the union is saying is like, that's like, don't count it by days. Let's have some age-related free agency here, so guys can hit big when they're older. As long as you get 5 years, one less year, and then if he's 30, you get him. So I think even if a guy debuts at 26, you would get 5 years, and he's out. The MLB countered by saying, let's just have guys locked to the team. If you want to do it by age, we'll do it by age. Guys will just be locked to a team until they're 29 and a half, meaning that Soto, who debuted at 19 years old, they would have control of him until he's 29 and a half, and he would never reach free agency, never hit the open market, and they'd never have to bid against someone to retain him, and he'd never make crazy money, which is just how the counters are going. Like, oh, you think that's a good idea? Well, we'll use that, and we'll put the most ridiculous thing out and send it to you.
If you look like, to Jake's point earlier, or maybe you made it, James, sorry, foggy a little bit from my Vegas trip. A lot of these points or these back and forths are divisive for the teams and the owners. And whether that's by design by the union, I have no inside info if that's what they're going for. Obviously, you can make that assumption by just kind of looking. And I think that is that's a great play. The Players Association is not going to get all the things they're asking for. The owner side is not going to get all the things they're asking for. But when you do start bringing up these topics that are divisive, it creates some cracks. And we've seen it with the players. The owners, MLB has done that with the players. I mean, every single CBA, they do that. They talked about the international draft, which was divisive for the players because you have the Latin guys and guys coming over from the Asian countries. That's a free market. They can sign with whoever they want, and they're not subject to the draft. So why would they want that when you have guys coming from America saying, well, we're subject to the draft. So that was like the thing that they did. Yeah, maybe we're the Players Association is taking a play out of the old owner's playbook and trying to be a little bit divisive. And I think it's a good strategy.
Man, I'm going to sound biased here. Get the best players on the field, however you have to. Like I know, obviously, a lot of things in life come down to money, especially when you're talking business, and then it becomes almost everything. It's just ridiculous, and I know every team has their examples of guys who are either in the minor leagues or kept in the minor leagues, and so you've got them on both ends of the spectrum now, and that's the part that sucks. We all know the Chris Bryants and Gleyber Torres and guys like that who are held back for 15 days, because honestly, it's fantastic business if you give me the first 2 rookie weeks of Chris Bryant's career, or I get another year of his prime. That's obvious. The other side of it, and each team has their example of this, are guys like, well, I guess it's the age end of the spectrum. It's a guy like Luke Voigt, who didn't get his opportunity till he was 27, 28-ish. Every team has those, and baseball owners, like, at the end of the day, what do they care about? Their franchise's value. Like, that's the biggest kind of asset they have. And if the product on the field is as good as the product on the field can be, that's what helps your asset. So that's where there has to be a win here, where no matter what the situation is, you get the best players on the field. Like, if you have a minor league, like, why wasn't Adley Rutschman playing for the Orioles this year? I bet he could have got some ABs. I bet it would have been nice. Like, there just needs to be a solution there that gets all the best players on the field. And then the part that sucks for me, because I rarely get labeled the smartest man in the room. Like we're talking about, when that CBA comes out, the owner and the team's goal as a business is to figure out a way to manipulate it. So you mentioned all players hit free agency at 29 and a half, and it's like, well, did Soto just get fucked? So I hate that side of it. But both sides, and so I guess that's what I'm looking for. Where are both sides motivated? We know they're going to fight for money. Both sides at the end of the day should be motivated to get the best product on the field, and they need to figure that out, because, man, what are we doing? What other sports do you hear about them? Like, let's not play our young, talented guy? That's a joke.
Well, I also, it just pisses me off. Like, I think I don't know if the union offered the 5-year, but I think Kenny Rosenthal's suggestion is pretty fair. Maybe the union doesn't like it because it's too fair. But you get the first 5 years of his career. But as soon as
what's Kenny saying? I mean, I went over the article. What's his point on free
I believe
agency?
it's after 5 years. If you're 30 or older, you're a free agent. If after 5 years you're still 28 years old, then it stays 6 years. So I don't even know if the union
would take that. The MLB would not take that.
But that's
MLB,
but for MLB to counter with that and say, no, you want to do age, we just get our guy till he's 29 and a half.
They don't want to. This is what I assume they're thinking is they don't want to move off that 6-year number. And again, this is another divisive play, essentially, because as a franchise, especially the teams with lower payrolls, you want to keep your guys as long as possible because they're cost controlled. Now, if you had a 5-year free agency period, instead of us talking about trades, with 1 year left to go, and like these guys already given 5 years to the team, and then they trade them on a 6th year or before a 6th year. Now that would just move up the whole timeline, and teams just don't want that. They don't want, after only having control of a guy for 4 years and getting 4 years out of him, then having to think about trading him, essentially, right? Because big market teams would benefit from that because there's a player coming out a year more of his prime, and now he's available to everyone. We can go get him. I'm assuming that's what they're thinking.
Split the owner group, like as best you can.
They're trying.
Because why are all the big spending owners standing up? Because they all want to save money. Why is standing up for the guys who just literally aren't bettering the sport or the product or, in the end, like we've chatted with owners before and we've had some, like a lot of good talks. And I like the players obviously, but I could see both sides on a lot of things, but
sure.
Why owners we've talked to are worried about baseball, some of them. And even like some teams in the higher ups are like, yeah, like we want it to grow. We want it to be better. They want expanded playoffs because they think that will drive more eyes to the sport. They want the DH because they would think it will drive more eyes to the sport. You know what will drive more eyes to the sport? To not have cities or teams in big cities or teams at all.
Better teams.
Tanking. So why are we standing up and rallying around the worst of the group? The owners are a union.
Yeah.
There needs to be. Look, that's another issue. The whole tanking and making sure teams try to be competitive is a whole nother issue we can talk about. But yeah, that's I without any knowledge of. I haven't really even begun to dig around in the Players Association, but without having any knowledge of that, it seems like that's been their play so far. Is let's throw what's the saying? You don't throw a wrench, you throw something in the middle. I don't know. An axe in the middle. I think I just
throw a wrench in the works?
It's not what I was looking for, but you guys know what I'm saying.
Throw a finger.
Throw a monkey in a sack?
Stop talking about boners, man.
Jake.
I said
unreal
about boners.
You didn't hear what we heard? Because what you said was nasty.
What would arbitration look like if Juan Soto was under control for 10 years? What would he make in his 9th year of
I guess that's where
sixth year of arbitration?
He'd sit out a full season over one of them.
I guess that's where it does get fun because, we use Soto as the example of where you could get screwed by age. Like, what if it didn't and arbitration just kept going? So,
after $100 million.
after year 7, Juan Soto's lined up to make, 40 mil per year. If he has one bad year, then the team kind of says, okay, well, is Juan Soto going to be worth it? And then another team takes a chance on him. I don't know. It kind of gets a little fun, and it would keep players in the same market. We do like that. That's something we semi are a fan of as long as you're getting paid properly. I don't know. It'd be cool if these sides had fun and had cool solutions instead of let's beat them and trick them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you-
And Ken does say that at the beginning of his article. He says, "This is all about money. Don't let anybody fool you." And it's true. You know, you guys obviously, yeah, I'm very pro player, but it is. This whole thing's about money.
Yeah.
It's about the distribution of the money.
Do you think going to a lottery system? I think it's small potatoes because it's not like the NBA or the NFL where the number one picks the guy, and if you're in the top 10, you're probably happy, or it's all crapshoot.
Yeah.
But even just in a small way,
agree.
like just do it. Maybe it'll make a tiny difference. I don't think there's any harm in it. I wouldn't be upset ever. Like just if they did a lottery, I don't think it solves the problems. So maybe that's why the union isn't like, going to really ask big for that, because you're still going to tank for a top 5 pick.
Still would want the best odds you can get.
Yeah.
That's what happens in the NBA. They still tank.
Yeah.
Some teams would be some teams would be happier to save on the signing bonus of the higher pick.
In the NBA, do teams tank that like say like now you only have the bottom 3 teams tanking for that last spot? In the lottery, say it was the bottom 7 teams, would that mean that now you have 8 teams tanking because they're tanking for that 7th spot?
Get in there.
Does that happen?
NBA, I feel like it's just like it's pretty easy to be bad. Like you get bad pretty easily, and they have juiced the lottery that it almost feels. I remember the first year they changed the lottery was the Knicks were the worst team in the league, right? And
It's the first year that
they made
balanced it.
the odds to get the first pick were like what?
The
Like
worst
15?
team was 14.7%.
Which was classic
The
Knicks.
bottom 3 teams are all even, and then it scales from there.
So
were
kind of what
finally
you
the
were
worst.
alluding to, like if you're the 4th worst team, it almost feels as good as being the worst team. Like you almost don't care about how bad
And
you
you
are.
might tank to get in the lottery, so then you have more teams tanking.
Yeah. So
Lottery, I don't care about.
I guess if they expanded playoffs with it, then you're either in the expanded playoffs or you're in a lottery.
Yeah. And then the other topic was expanded playoffs, and they're going to do that. I mean, we've
I
heard
hate that. Gosh,
we've
hate
heard
that
from so many
much.
people they want 50% of the teams in the postseason. The owners do. We've been told that.
It's brutal, man. Like, I get it. There's more money to be made. More people get chances to play in the playoffs. That's great. But if you watch the other leagues, I mean, that's what makes the NBA regular season absolutely a moot point. A moot point. What is that? How do you say that word? It's spelled weird.
how are you spelling it?
It's MOOT, right?
I think it's like boot.
Just moot point, whatever. It sounds weird. Anyways, the regular season in the NBA means absolutely nothing, and you're going to make that happen unless you do something crazy for the teams that win the division, which I don't even know what you could do.
The season's too long to make it worthless. I mean, in the 2020 year, it was only a 60-game season, but everyone made the playoffs. And like if 40 of those 60 games mattered, you could tell.
Yeah. Yeah. That was the one time where it was okay to have extra teams because, as we've seen, like the cream eventually rises. I mean, the cream will rise to the top through 162. It might not through 60 games.
Two mice.
Yeah. You guys like the expanded playoffs? I'm not a fan of it.
Miss ya.
I'm just accepting it.
Yeah, we know that's.
I'm
won't-
gonna fight it because it's happening.
won't say from well, it is from inside the walls. Like it's arguably the number one thing owners care about. Like obviously, like they care about money. So again, that playoff money hits different. So they are so strongly motivated, and it's so funny as we compare things to the NBA and NFL. So do they. Whether it's just the pride of owning a sports team or whatever they're trying to do. But, other teams are the MLB is jealous of that. And it obviously strikes through an MLB purist heart because that's what's supposed to make it different. It's the longest regular season of the 4 major American sports. That by the time that those seasons ends, you get kind of the true champions or the true people that should be there at the end battling it out. And yeah, that's not necessarily what the other sports are about. And you all know it. Like football had another wild card. Like
Yeah, they had another game.
they had another game and
Schedule.
another wild card. So, yeah, man, it's I guess where you don't see. It's not worth the fight. It's not worth us sitting in front of the mics and saying, you can't do this to our sport. Like, it's going to happen. It's my thing, and where I've landed is just make those playoff spots mean something. Whether give them an advantage of the playoffs so that teams have something to aspire for. So you want to improve your team. So you want the 3 seed over the 4 seed. So that you want, the 1 over the 2. Like I know we dug into some of the leagues. I know Jim's dug into some of the weird stuff because that's where he lives. But there was one league you dug into where the 5 plays the 4, and then the 3 plays the winner of that, while the 2, then they play a set.
The 1 and the 2 play. It's the Big Bash League cricket. It's going on right now.
Big Bash Cricket League.
Yeah.
You need baseball back. You've been watching very obscure sports a lot lately.
I think I'm in on cricket for life.
Cricket's for life.
Yeah, cricket's for life. You're watching Aussie rules, right? Or was that rugby?
Oh, that was just a suggested breakdown. I didn't actually watch that. But no, but cricket is the same exact watching experience as baseball. So I like it. Like pace and play and time. And it comes on at off hours. Like it's 8 a.m. or like midnight when I'm up with the baby.
I don't think it's any secret that that's also the players' biggest bargaining chip is expanded playoffs.
Yes.
So like if they want some of the things that they are asking for to get done, like that is what they're going to have to give up. If I was in charge, I would say, okay, let's talk. Let's find a middle ground. Here are some things I want. We know you want expanded playoffs. We'll get there. But also, I'm going to ask for a 154 game season. I want to take 8 days away. I want to save them for off days. I think it's going to make the team healthier. I think it's better for everyone around. I think that would be excellent for the sport. We don't need 162. I would take 140, but I think 154 is. I think that used to be what the season was at, so it almost like makes sense. And you know how baseball people are.
Have you gotten your Lord Varys on yet? Have you got your little birds coming and chirping to you?
I've tried to stay. I mean, I've talked to people, especially in Vegas. We just talked about it, but really going in and trying to get info, not yet.
I guess so. Maybe I can help you and your little birds. Okay. John and I had a conversation with someone who's in the baseball world, and they kind of hinted that there could be real rule changes, and I don't know if that's it. That could be as dramatic as DH in the NL, which on paper is a big thing. I guess us as baseball plans, we've been preparing that for a while. I guess I've been trying to picture like what else will really change in game, and if that's. Is it a negotiating chip for either side? I guess anything that you think doesn't have a side is the player side because they're just grabbing any life preserver they can. That's why they held on to the DH in the NL, or lack of.
Yeah, I was watching MLB Network because I wanted to see what they were doing now that there's no baseball to talk about, and that was kind of a mistake by me because it was really bad. But also, I got some content from it. Tom Verducci's sitting on MLB Network saying that he thinks they need to have the pitch clock, which I'm not opposed to the pitch clock. I actually like the pitch clock. I played with it in the minor leagues for a little bit. I don't think it interrupts the game. I think the pace is a little bit better, but he keeps saying we need to get these games shorter. We need to get these games shorter. And it's like, that is not the freaking problem, dude. A game being even 20 minutes shorter, that's not it. I don't know why everyone's so caught up on that. The pace I can see, but wanting every single game
pace is
to be
the problem.
Hit this.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Okay,
I don't think it's
funny
the hours
they talk
either.
about the pace.
I don't think
they
it's
talk about the
length.
pace.
Yeah,
and then they have TV timeouts that are fucking 4 minutes during the playoffs and whatever. It's like, come on.
Yeah, I don't think it's the pace.
You do think it's the pace?
I don't think it's the length. I think it's the pace. I think it's the action. I think that there's just, if you're not already a diehard fan, it is doing nothing to grab your attention. The gameplay, like the highlights might, and the personalities might, and if your team in your city's good, but I'm watching cricket right now, and I don't care who's playing, and I have no allegiance, but every pitch, something happens. Basically, there's very rarely like what we have as a ball doesn't really exist in cricket, especially the shorter version, because it's a limited amount of pitches. So if the bowler throws the ball and the hitter doesn't get a run off it, it's called a dot ball, and that's a win for the pitcher because they have a limited amount of pitches to score on. So it's just a different vibe. It's like everything is either a clap or not a clap, where you can throw 2 strikes, 3 balls, and then walk them, and then all of that's for naught. So, like, 3 true outcomes, I think, is a decent strategy if you're coming to it from the I want to win game side. But if you're coming to it from I want to create a product that's entertaining side, I think it's not good.
Yeah. Oh man, where are we at with all of this? It's tough, man. This is a big CBA. This is a really, really big one because I think there will be some changes to some of the gameplay. I don't know. I like the pitch clock. Pitch clock can come. I'm in on that.
For sure. Because it's never a problem. Like it's the rare inning where he just slows down the game. Like a pitcher just slows down the game. Or I don't think there's many pitchers that are singular. Like there's probably 5 that you can count. They're like, yeah, this guy's a slow pitcher.
Yeah.
But there are pitchers that when they get in a jam, pick off, step off, mound visit, step off, slow, and you're like, oh my God. Yarbrough.
Yeah.
Our
Don't
guy.
you think?
I love Yarby. He had a new baby. Congratulations. But he's such a slow pace pitcher. Kills me.
James, don't you think you're talking about how we're not doing ourselves any favors if you're not already in it? Baseball is doing nothing to grab your attention, essentially.
On the gameplay side, I think they're doing good. I think they grew last year, but on the gameplay,
don't you think that has something to do with presentation of the game and how people? If you go to a ballpark, you're gonna have fun. Like it's a great environment. You're having fun. It's a trip. It makes sense. But the product, when you're watching it on TV, I think there's so much room to improve it. And I think all the leagues are trying to find ways. You're seeing like the Nickelodeon games. You're seeing the dual cast. You have the stat cast in baseball, whatever. I just think there's more there. And I don't necessarily have the solution right now, but presenting the game. I mean, you know what we do with content. The way you edit and present it makes a huge difference. And I think when we're putting on a baseball game right now and the announcers that we have and the way that it's shown to, the fans is boring.
Some stations do a really good job. San Francisco does a good job. Nesson does a good job. Yes Network does a good job. SNY, LA. Replays are so important. And there's some places that still just don't show you what you just saw.
Yeah.
And there's still some announcers that don't explain to you what you just saw or why it was cool or why it was unique. But Yes Network, any pitch, and a lot of the other ones do this, but obviously I watch the LA games, that is controversial, and maybe the batter thought it was this and the umpire thought it was this, Yes Network will show you the side camera. Was it above or below his knee? And then they'll show you the overhead camera. Was it on the plate or off the plate? And then they'll show you the straight on slow-mo. Every time, all 3. Boom, boom, boom. Viewer, you make up your mind. Was it correct or not correct? A lot of baseball don't do that. And that's servicing the audience a ton. It sucks when I'm like, I wish I could fucking see that again. There's 2 guys that think of it completely different. So that kills me. And then get the score bugs off that are huge. The new Bally's score bugs. It just, dude, brutal. I won't watch a game because of that. I'll choose the other feed. And if there's a game that has both the Bally score bug, I'll search for another one. Same with hockey. I've been putting hockey on it because it's on ESPN Plus now. and I will avoid that Bally's bottom line like the plague.
It's big.
It's
big.
It's all to train the eye, because eventually they're going to put in-game betting lines on it. So that's why they're doing it. They want us to get used to it, not care about it anymore. And then once betting's legal in whatever state your regional network is, it'll be plus 100 if he strikes out and this at bat, bet now. Shit like that.
Yeah.
I'll place the bets.
We're doing the work that MLB needs to be doing. I'm going to say it right now. We are bringing fans into baseball. We are doing that. We're making it fun for people. We're making it engaging. They need to do more of that, or just have us run everything, I guess. That's the other solution. You want us to just run it for you guys? What do you call that? We're the head of baseball marketing. That doesn't make any sense, but you know what I'm talking about.
You know what else is fun and engaging? That dugout mug I'm looking at in front of Jake.
Oh, my gosh.
I have been drinking out of this dugout mug for weeks now. I can't stop drinking out of it. We love dugout mugs. You guys know they rode and doed with us throughout the playoffs this year. Dugout mugs. I have the metal. I've made it a signature. It works hot and cold. Yes and no. The Woody is obviously the power play. You're in your man cave, your woman cave.
She shed.
She shed.
Yeah.
And you bust out the dugout mug wino.
Ooh.
Whoops. Power plays only with dugout mugs. Code JOMBOY. I think they're doing 30% off, so you can still get a deal on these bad boys. They're awesome. They're a baseball company. We're baseball people. Trevor Plouffe just told you we are the heads of marketing for baseball. Not MLB, for baseball.
Yeah. Across the world.
So go get yourself a dugout mug. I know a lot of you guys already have. If you haven't, the knob shot, talk about a perfect stocking stuffer. And, Trev, you know this. You're a holiday drinker. You got the family over. You kind of, you got the uncle yelling about who knows what. You bust out a couple of the knobbies. Everyone loosens up a little bit. Yeah. Yeah.
I was loose in Vegas. Let me tell you something. The only thing going in my knob shot for the next week or so will be water. I think you could take shots of water. Let's normalize shots of water.
I'm not going to do that. That's such little water.
Yeah, you're right.
You need so much water at a single time.
Dugoutmugs.com. Code JOMBOY.
I've never done that where I've taken a placebo shot before, but I know people do. Hey, bartender, give me 4 tequilas and then 1 fill of water. Sounds like a Jake move.
I am a placebo.
It's a good word.
It is a fun word.
You guys want to talk about Buxton and the Twins, or do we just table it?
We can talk a little bit about it. Are we done with the CBA? Yeah. I mean, we'll get more into it, guys. Yeah. I think we're inching. Games are not going to be lost. I firmly believe that.
Love that.
What when you called Buxton and congratulated him on his extension, what'd you say?
I didn't call him. I sent him a DM. No, I mean, I don't know, dude. The guy deserves it, and I think it's very apparent that he wanted to be in Minnesota. He's continuously said that and made them aware of that, and here he is, going to be in Minnesota. I think this is a win-win. I've talked about this with Chris Rose already, but I think it's a win-win deal. I think both sides kind of get what they want. Buxton knows if he stays on the field and just is the player he is, he's got some really aggressive contract accelerators. He can hit some of these and make some really nice coin. And for the Twins, they got him at a decent price. Their one thing is we need him on the field. But if he's on the field, they have a steal right now. And you don't come across players with the talent of Byron Buxton very often. That's just the bottom line. So got to stay healthy, Byron. But, I think it's great for him, the city of Minnesota, because, they love. I mean, everyone loves Buck there.
Do you think that
Good job.
the incentives that he has, basically he gets like $1 million if he gets first in MVP, or is it like 3 million? I forget what it is. It's crazy amount of incentives. It's up to 100 and something in incentives.
That's if like
Yeah.
I think if he wins the MVP, he gets what, 8 mil?
Yes, every year.
Yeah.
Do you think that should become somewhat normal, Trev? Don't take it away from the guaranteed salary, but why not? Like, if you're a team, only one guy could win the MVP. If I'm George Steinbrenner, I'm walking into the clubhouse and I'm saying, hey, just to let you know, any of you fuckers win MVP this year, you get $5 million.
Boom.
That's great.
Why would you not do that?
Play like a Yankee today.
Yeah,
Because I'll tell you why. Because they don't have to do that.
I know,
Why?
but I'd do it.
This is a little bit different. The contract. It's just because of his injury history. I mean, that's why he's getting these incentives. They know the type of player he can be, but he has been quote unquote injury prone. I'm not going to use that. Some of his stuff is freak, but it's just protection both sides. I mean, he gets the bag, and the Twins, 7-year, $100 million for a guy like that, it's not a lot of money. It really isn't.
No.
What's that? What is that? AAV 15?
7 into 100.
I think 15 AAV. I was looking at the incentive stuff for the sake of laying it out there. $8 million for first place, and that's $1 million less for each spot below that. So if he finishes in the top 5, it's at least $4 million, 6 through 10.
That's amazing.
If he gets a top 10 MVP bonus, he's getting at least $3 million. And he also gets $500K for every plate appearance thing, basically over 500. There's a couple increments.
Trev,
This is just a great deal for the Twins.
you pegged it, man. I really think it's a good deal both ways because, we always get caught up. We've had a couple good one-year bets lately, and Trev, I actually want to talk to you after the show about something I'm thinking about for a little Wake and Jake thing. But Buxton, he was going to head into his free agent year, and a lot could happen. Guess what? Byron Buxton could play $140, rack up a 7.5 WAR, and he could have raked the team over the coals / properly get paid. Or if Buck Daddy has another injury and he plays 65 games, all these teams would have 1-yeared him and 2-yeared him and given him this. He gets $15 million a year for 17 years, no matter what. And if he performs like he can, then he will get paid to that level as well. So both sides, it's a win. The fact that he's willing to stay in Minnesota, not shots fired at the state of Minnesota, but, some people like warmer places and different things like that. He's happy there. And I think the biggest thing for me that I think allowed a lot of this to happen, which leads to kind of another line of questions that we've discussed on here before, but he really won that no trade clause. Which I think is a sense of pride amongst players because, I think if things go haywire in LA or in Minnesota in a couple years and Bucks and the Twins want to move on, you're still going to find 2 or 3 suitors and you have the thumbs up. It's kind of just a power play for Buxton to say he has it, IMO. And I think on the Twins side, that's part of what allowed them to sign Buxton. So, again, on that front, I'm happy for both sides too.
Happy guy.
It's kind of like they sat down and negotiated a good deal.
Oh,
That's weird.
two motivated sides
Trying to kill each other.
working together.
Hey, but for real, Buck you got to be happy for him. The guy's got kids. He's made money already, but taking a little bit less guaranteed to give you, $100 million is a lot of money, baby. But I think he really liked those incentives. I feel like he feels like he's going to hit a lot of them. And I don't think he's going to be wrong about that either.
I like that.
Yeah, I love it. Do you want to talk about the Rays?
Go Wander, go.
I'll have to save the Adam Frazier talk.
We'll have to save the Adam
Yeah,
Frazier
you gotta save
talk.
that. Yeah, you gotta save that for
What,
next,
Table that one. Good job by the Rays, giving a Wander a deal. Are they going to trade him halfway through? Maybe. And then you say, ugh. If Rays fans or whatever team
Not
they
that.
become and city they become, get to say he's going to be one of ours for 10 years. That's awesome.
Hey, maybe it'll be 2/3 through.
Do you remember the video when he got called up? He was like at dinner, like he was at like a restaurant. Do you remember that?
It was like the team was out at
Yeah, the team was
restaurant,
out, and the
yeah.
manager told him. It's pretty cool, man. I'm just happy for the guy.
It is the front part of it's fun, and now my head just started spinning to like, in 7 years, is the rest of that contract going to be an absolute steal? In 7 years, is that contract going to be bleh? I think you always sum it up best, Trev, when you say, like, that's when you're in that life-changing money range, like, there's kind of no wrong answer. Like, hey, maybe Wander Franco in 7 years, we're saying, damn, he's the best player in baseball, and he did leave X amount on the table, but he already got a lot on the table, so good for him. Good, and kind of good for the Rays, unless they do trade him in like 5 or 6 years, and depending how that contract's looking, or if they move that franchise and they're like, look, we've got Wander Franco looked up.
Yeah, it's definitely a move. I do think moving the franchise was involved here.
I mean, that was another Florida team did that to get a stadium, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they locked up. Yeah,
And then to sell the team.
Yes. Dude, that's so.
Good for Giancarlo. Golly.
Good for Giancarlo, man.
Give
I
Giancarlo
need
the
to be
contract.
in that position.
I'll tell you what, Giancarlo Stanton doesn't have a lot of bad days, and I'm happy for him on that.
That's so funny, though.
Bench pressing super.
You on our team? We got this one of the best players in baseball locked up for
like
10
this?
years. You want to give us a new stadium? huh?
Extremely backloaded, too. so you get to
Okay.
pay him.
Extremely
Who
backloaded.
could, we're not going to sell the team. We're not going to sell the team. We're not going to sell the team. Ah!
Oh, you want to build us a new stadium? Because we got this guy. People are going to be coming to see him.
Yankees, you looking to sign a free agent? How about we
TV
just,
deals coming? Oh, my
we just
gosh.
trade you?
What an all-time
People
move.
talk a lot of crap about Jeffrey Loria, but I mean, it's kind of an all-time business move.
business move.
Snaky.
Amazing.
Snaky.
The fact that the contract's
Big snakes.
backloaded is like just like the kind of, I guess they say the chef's kiss of it all.
Could we end the show on a positive note?
Yeah,
though?
what was that Vegas story you're dying to get off your chest?
I don't really have a lot of Vegas stories, man. I played golf. I played poker. Kenny Lofton. Let me just say this about what happened. Kenny Lofton had himself a weekend, or not a weekend, a couple days, because it was a Monday and a Tuesday. He won the poker tournament,
Yep.
and his team won the golf tournament, and he had closest to the pin.
Wow.
It was a Kenny Lofton weekend.
Damn.
I told him, I said, Kenny, I don't ever drop this football. I was carrying my football around. You guys know how I am. And that guy
That's such a funny sentence.
Came
Trav.
up.
Just calm down. Just said, drop my football. I was carrying my football around. You know how I am. Is that what you just said?
Yeah, sure did.
Because everyone that
came up from
listens
behind me
pictures
and
you
stripped
football
me.
in hand.
Kenny Lofton forced fumble on you.
And he goes, oh, you just said you didn't drop it. I said, Kenny, I thought I was amongst friends. You backstabbed me.
Did
But
he
it was his weekend. It was his weekend. He took over. He alphaed that damn thing.
Did he remember in 1990 spring training when he gave me a ball when he was on the Houston Astros?
Yeah, he did.
Kenny
Yeah, he
Lofton.
did.
He said, guy looks the same.
Yeah.
He's a little bigger.
Oh,
Dresses the
man.
same.
Oh, what I wanted to end the show on was Toby, the Dodger dog.
What about him?
All-time story. You saw it. We posted something about it already, but the Dodgers, they did a great job. Whoever's running the PR there, they knew they screwed up. They forgot to send him something. Similar to, I still haven't sent Ian Happ his wine.
Jeez.
Make it right.
But Toby went on the field and was running around and was playing fetch on Dodger Stadium. They put him up in the press box. He's going back for Pup at the Park Day.
And we think Toby's trustworthy?
It's bark at the park. We rhyme here.
We don't know all about Toby's backstory. We just know that he loves baseball and watches a lot of it. He did get a World Series already, so like Toby, like chill out, stop trying to get so much. Like the
Like,
Dodgers won
who's
the World
Toby's
Series.
owner? Because maybe he's got a little Jeff Lora in him.
Toby's getting sold, do you think?
Well, I don't know.
No,
I mean,
he's
this,
selling to the Dodgers.
I mean, the owner got to go on the field and gets gift baskets. What? I don't know the story. What did the dog do?
Dog would watch
so
the
they went
games.
viral. I watched a lot of the games. The Dodgers took notice and said, hey, we'd like to send a package out. So they didn't ever send the package out. So the guy made a TikTok of Toby waiting for the present at the window.
I'm going to make Baby
he's like
James stare at this damn TV.
And waiting and waiting. And then people got mad at the Dodgers. Pissed. So the Dodgers had to like really pull out all the stops for old Toby boy. But shout out Toby. I like dogs. When they get what they want, they're so happy and content. People need to be more like dogs sometimes. Jake, you have that personality.
That's what he's named after a dog.
Yeah.
The Arizona Diamondbacks are already trying to get Baby James. They sent him some merch.
Wow.
I think another NL team sending him some merch as well.
Thanks, Snakes.
Yeah.
Wow.
And Trev, you and Olivia sent a very nice basket.
Wow.
Thank you very much. He wore the
You're welcome.
onesie you guys sent last night.
Very cool. I like
Full
that.
circle.
Babies are the best. I'm gonna go try to have a baby tonight.
Jess and I got James Douglas a little stuffed puppy that I continually forget to bring to the office every day to get.
Dude, I got you
Oh,
I got you
sure.
a present for your birthday, and it's just like been delayed, so now I figured it'd be an engagement present. And I just emailed and I was like, "Hey, where is this?" And they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna spoil it. It's like a drawn picture of you, Jess, and Noodle. And you look kind of not like you, but in a better way, so I didn't correct them.
Yes.
I was like,
Oh,
yeah, that's what he looks like.
nice.
And then I emailed her and I was like, hey, you never sent me the
I'm
picture. And
supposed
she's
to
like,
get
oh,
this.
you just paid for the digital print. You need to pay this to get it like canvassed and sent.
How they
So
get you?
I think it's going to be small. That's a lot of money. So anyway, it's now birthday /
It's
engagement
big
present. For you.
NFT. You got him an NFT. Way to go,
NFT,
Dan.
thank you.
It's like a
We're so
it's like a
huge
drawing
cryptos.
of the three of you, like a family portrait.
It sounds very nice.
And
Thank
you look
What about me?
What
Better. What about Trevor?
You got to do
part of the
something.
You have a
Family.
plaque.
Yeah, I got you a
I'm
plaque.
part of the family. I'm saying I should be in that picture. You already got me a nice plaque. Yeah.
Oh.
Jake, Jess,
The
Noodle,
plaque,
Trevor.
Trev, you know, we got 2 of those plaques, and one of them's on the wall here. Like, it looks so cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. It's a
It's
nice
like
plaque.
a really nice
That-
plaque.
You want to hear something shocking to me?
Okay.
There was a couple players in Vegas. I'll name them. Drew Stubbs. Didn't even know I predicted the World Series correctly.
Was he not on Twitter? What a guy.
I said, Drew, what are you doing, bro?
Yeah,
I'm so famous now. How do you not know that?
yeah.
My
I
internet
mean-
clout is crazy.
It's going to be insane when you have to give your prediction on March 31st for the next season. You might get
I'm
help
already
by
wor-
like, what?
I'm already working on something for that. I have an
Sorry,
idea.
Trevor.
DraftKings is going to give a boost
Our
because
episode.
like I know the odds are really high that you're not going to get it again, but the odds were really high last time. So like people will bet on it because
Yeah.
there's going to be FOMO.
You never
Like you
know.
throw $1 on it, you win so much money, and if you hit it again, and
King of the world.
and
God.
people didn't bet on it, they're going to be pissed. Like you're like so it's like going to be a big.
It's not
moment.
like you're gonna pick the I don't
So
wanna
who are you
say
going to
team.
go with?
I'm going to pick, and it's not like I'm picking and thinking I'm going to be wrong. I'm trying to be right again. I can't tell you that right now. I have no idea who's going to be on what team. I can't even look on MLB.com to see who's on the roster. That's why I made the hot boy list.
Say, listen, Nate.
I love it, man. I love that move.
Can I just say that my hot boy list, people, the number one
Let it all out, man.
comment was Dansby. It
Yeah.
was like 70% of the comments were like, "This list
Because he
sucks.
got a
Where's Dansby?"
ring now, so I get it.
He's been on the list before. This thing changes frequently.
Evolving.
Like if I look at him, I look at Dansby right now. Like he just got engaged, so he's kind of off the
Yeah.
market. Sex appeal, it goes down for
Mhm.
me. I'm not trying to break up that marriage. I just seen a lot of Dansby. So when you get a lot of something,
that's
it's a little too much.
Because you have
So
that
look, yeah.
you have that daddy section that like Dansby once he gets the second contract and he's married and maybe he's got a kid, that brings him right
Holy
back
shit,
to the
it's
forefront.
4:14. Oh, we got to go.
Oh, and
Okay.
here's a picture of me from the 1940s. Me and Jestra.
It's awesome. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. We appreciate you. We love you. You're the best. We'll be back later.
Best head of marketing for baseball.
Chick sucks. I'm on vacation next week.
Yeah.
High tea. Specialty.
Boner.